Welcome to the Verdin Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. Got my guy G-Sportz in here with me. G, what's up, man?
What's good? Another day, another dollar.
That's it. We got Wednesday, SEC Power Rankings. Last night, we had a new batch of college football playoff rankings for week 11. A little bit of a glimpse into LSU and Arkansas. And we got some more drama with the Brian Kelly saga. G, I'm going to open it up with this because this is not, it's probably an unpopular opinion. And LSU fans are not going to like to hear me say this, but I'm going to be real. If I was him, I'd want the 53 million too. I mean, we're talking about tens of millions of dollars here, guaranteed contract. I could see where he's coming from. However, if you don't know the situation, this is it. Brian Kelly's trying to say that LSU fired him on the Sunday without cause, meaning that they didn't have any real factor to lower the buyout penalty. LSU's trying to say it's not true. And on Monday, they officially terminated him with cause, which would then lower the buyout to around 25 to 30 million. They offered him those two in settlements. He said, no, thank you. I want the full payout. And everybody's watching this unfold nationwide. GU, me, LSU's potential next head coach candidate, guys like Lane Kiffin, Dan Lanning, don't matter who it is. Everybody's just sitting back and watching what feels to be like a spectacle. And it kind of makes me worried a little bit because now I'm not that confident in the fact that LSU is the best job on the market anymore. And it's because there's a lot of external things, external factors, a lot of things that people don't really have to worry about at other schools. This being one of them, the fact that you sign someone to a guaranteed contract and now you don't want to pay out the money. G, react to this one for me. I know this is a good move for LSU if they can save the money. Now, this is only a good move from a sense where you don't have to put all that capital from boosters into a buyout, replacing a staff, and then replacing players in the portal. But from an optics standpoint, when you're trying to lure someone in and say, hey, man, this spot's better than yours, it scares me a little bit.
I just don't understand how they think they can get away with not paying him the full $52 million when he didn't do anything to breach his contract. That's the only type of way you can see a university not having to pay the full buyout, bro. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. But this is what happens when you don't have a president and you don't have a chancellor in place when you're trying to make these type of decisions. When you're allowing Governor Jeff Landry to get involved and the board of trustees and the AD not on the same page. This is what you
Yep.
see. Obviously, I think that Brian Kelly he's probably looking like the bad person right here. But if you got any type of intelligence about yourself, you know that LSU, this is a red flag for you. Uh, I know they do have a chancellor, and now we do have a president now. So I think things will be done better in an orderly fashion. But it just looks bad from the outside looking in, and like we talked about the big names, the hot names, the Lane Kiffins of the world, the Dan Lannings of the world, the Eli Drinkwoods. Like these guys are going to look at this and say, "Do I want to step into that?" And it's a fair question.
And I feel like if you're in that situation, it's almost more risk than it is reward because at this point, you've made this point multiple times. I feel like it's all too obvious. You don't need to be a blue blood huge program. You just got to have a little bit of capital to throw in that transfer portal. And if you got the right staff that can, make the best of the talent on your roster, you can compete. I mean, there's a lot of teams in this college football playoff rankings we'll get to at the end of the stream, dude, like Georgia Tech, Texas Tech. I mean, you got a lot of people that have just rather quickly in a span of a few years become legitimate contenders that don't have to be in an SEC. All they got to do, G, is recruit top talent. And I feel like LSU's in a little bit of a bind with this because we're talking about head coach candidates, but what about like players, recruits, somebody potentially looking at LSU as a destination? Do you think that maybe tampers things a little bit as well, or just makes it look not like a good
Well,
destination?
I don't think when you talk about recruiting, it'll hurt them in a sense because LSU still LSU, bro. You still have that brand. You still have that history of putting out top tier talent year in and year out. You still have elite talent coming out of the state. Kids that grow up in Louisiana, bro. They grow up bleeding purple and gold and wanting to play in Tiger Stadium. And I think that whatever head coach gets this job or considers taking this job, they're gonna have some real uncomfortable conversations with the new president, the chancellor, Verge. If Verge continues to be the full-time AD going forward, Will I have full autonomy in my program? Will I be able to make all the type of decisions that I need to make for my program? Will y'all clip my wings? Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, bro, he got full autonomy.
Yep.
Whatever decision he wants to make regarding his football program, the chancellor, the president, the governor, nobody is going to clip his wings and say, no, you got to run this by me first. Lane make a decision, they're going to roll with it. And I think that's something that a lot of head coaches going to want to know if they were to take this job, bro. So, the new president, Dr. Roos, the new chancellor, Verge, bro, they going to have, anytime they get in front of a camera, anytime they do any type of press conference, they're going to have to let it be known that we're going to get the best head coach, which they're supposed to say, and whoever we hire, we're going to allow them to implement whatever they need to do to get this program back to prominence. And they got to keep on echoing that, keep on
Yep.
echoing it. And I know the whole Nick Saban thing coming back up, and people thinking it's a chance. I've been saying all along, it's a chance it could happen. If I had to rank it 1 to 10, with 10 being the greatest, I'll give it like a 7. That he'll
Damn.
be, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's how I feel. I think 1 to 10, with 10 being the greatest, I'll give it a 7, and I think he'll be the next head coach, bro. Uh, I can tell you for sure that he was in Baton Rouge for 2 days. Is Does that mean he's taking a job? I don't know. But we do know he must have some type of interest. He must wanted to hear the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
That's good enough for me.
Because the first thing that came in my head, I was like, all right, well, he came on campus last year, but it was college game day. So he had a reason to be on campus. He was already here. But this time, taking a little bit of a special trip out of your schedule. Where were they last week for game day? Texas Tech in Lubbock? That's not that close. Interesting. I think, I don't know what sports book it is, like some smaller one, Bet Online or something like that. They got Nick Saban as the number one favorite again for LSU's head coach. It makes sense because of this standpoint too. I think the Lane Kiffin hype is like he's a great name, he's a great option, but it's starting to make more and more sense for him to stay in Oxford. I mean, there's a lot of things that I feel like you just mentioned the full autonomy. There's also this one, which is kind of a personal thing. I don't think it's, like, oh, he's for sure staying. But he made a comment in a presser. It was the SEC Media Days presser. I went back and rewatched it, and he said that Oxford was there for him when his parents passed. They were supportive. They're like a family. His kids obviously go to school there, and like a lot of people have made him realize the close-knit connection he's had in that city. That means a lot to you. That makes you kind of weigh in factors a little bit
And,
differently.
and also, if you went and watch that documentary they just put out on Lane Kiffin, and look, it could be smoke he blowing. I don't know, but I feel like I got a gift of discernment right here. I don't think it's gonna be about the money, bro. With Lane Kiffin, I really don't. I think that he wants to be happy. He wants to be comfortable. He wants his kids to be comfortable. He's comfortable in Oxford, and he's continued to say that he's become a new person since he's been in Oxford. He talked about not drinking anymore. He doesn't know the last time he drunk alcohol, right? He said that's not to say he won't drink alcohol anymore, but he says since he's been in Oxford, he's been a different person. He hasn't drunk. Him and his relationship with him and his daughter has gotten so much better, and he owes that to the city of Oxford, the people that's in that community, the people that administration that has allowed him to become this newfound Lane Kiffin that we see before us today. And I think when you listen to Lane Kiffin talk, he's a deep thinker. Do you want to interfere with the person you have become? Right? You come to Baton Rouge, things might be a little different. You don't have a relationship with Dr. Roos. I'm President Roos, who just got the job, right? Even though I think he's capable of doing a good enough job of running the university properly. Even though I know people give him a lot of flack because he's coming from a small school like Manise, but just doing my research on him, I think he'll do a fine job. But I can see Lane Kiffin questioning it.
Mm-hmm.
I can see Lane Kiffin questioning, does Verge know what he's doing as an AD? I don't question it, but I can see why Lane Kiffin would. man, let me just stay where I'm at in Oxford, man, and keep riding this thing. Get a statue put out in front of the stadium, and turn Ole Miss into one of the elite programs, like Nick Saban did before he came to Bama. Because you got to remember, before Saban got to Bama, Bama was a laughing stock, bro, at the SEC. There was a punching bag. I think Lane Kiffin could be looking at it in that type of hindsight.
Yeah, and I feel like another thing too is that what if factor, because if you leave Ole Miss, if you do go to LSU, if things hypothetically don't work out, I feel like that's always on your mind. What if I stay? What if this? What if that? Because they're at the perfect point. If you're looking at it like a stock, G, I mean, they're about to hit their damn all-time high at Ole Miss. I mean, yeah, some people sell, but you might be able to get a little more value out of it.
The only thing I think that LSU got going for them when you talk about you want to take that job is you're gonna get some elite talent coming out of this state year in and year out. You gonna have to go to the bordering states like a Mississippi, Texas, Alabama, Arkansas, Atlanta, a little bit, some of Florida for a couple kids here and there. But you could get the nucleus of your talent in the boot,
100%.
and you don't have to worry about another powerful school in your state to compete with. That's what I think when a head coach is thinking about taking his job, will look at, especially somebody like Lane Kiffin. But I really truly think that he's happy in Oxford, and I don't think he's coming to Baton Rouge. I really don't.
Bro,
I
you
could be
need to
wrong about that. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think he is. Especially looking at that documentary. If you haven't watched the documentary, go check it out. I really was very impressed with how he let the cameras go behind the scenes and really dive into his process and how he thinks and him being this new person that he is in this day and age.
Yep, and the way that they pieced it together, it kind of felt like to me too that it was a perfect story ending, and then it kind of culminated at the end, wrapping it to where Oxford is the place where it's all settling down. There was a bunch of craziness in his career, but this is the most consistency and like stability that he's had. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling. LSU Arkansas. G, let's talk about this. This is a game I think that a lot of people are not going to put as an upset alert. I would say a lot of people are going to take for granted that a 2-7 Arkansas is just going to get beat by LSU, and I would agree with you at face value until yesterday, because now Taylor Green is clear. Now he's healthy. He had a neck injury at the end of their 38-35 loss to Miss State. They've had a bye week in between then and now. He'll be good to go. Here's why this is a very, very big statistic. So my guy Taylor Green, 6 rushing touchdowns alone. That's 3 times the leader for LSU, who has 2. LSU has 8 touchdowns total on the ground. Please keep that in mind. Taylor has 649 ground yards, 6 yards per carry. Both of those would lead LSU, by the way, the 6 yards per carry and the 600 plus on the ground. Not to mention their starting running back has 806 tutties. Their backup running back has 5 tutties. If you look at a comprehensive point scoring view, Arkansas 35 points per game, 41 total touchdowns. LSU 23 points per game, 23 total touchdowns. So simply put, a defense is going to have to put that Superman cape on, G. And obviously, mobile quarterbacks are kind of a worry here with LSU's defense through the last 2 years, not even just this year. I'm going to compare this to a Trinidad Chambers moment, because me and you were talking on the show saying, man, nobody's giving Chambers his flowers. Nobody's saying this is a talented quarterback. Nobody is talking about him in the way me and you thought he should be talked about. I'm a little worried Taylor Green is in the same breath. I think everybody has to have a moment. He's had some this year. I think this will be his moment as well. Let me add one more thing to you, G. 2-7. I said that. But you got to zoom in a little closer, everybody. How much were the losses by? How much did they hang in there against top ranked teams? Well, they lost Ole Miss by 6, lost to Memphis by 1, Tennessee by 3, A&M by 3, and then obviously Mississippi State by 3. So, 5 of their 7 losses all came by 1 possession. I think their record is similar to that of a Florida. And I say that meaning they're a little bit more talented than what the record means. 7 losses looks horrible. 7 losses looks like a 50 ball in Tiger Stadium, but Vegas only has LSU -5. Shit, I'd say lay the points, bro. Maybe move it to 7, Arkansas +7. This could be a low-scoring game. I'm a little worried. And once again, I think Taylor Green could be like Trinidad Chambers. And I know that's a crazy take for some people, but man, the stats are scary.
First of all, I got a lot of respect for Bobby Petrino. He was the interim head coach. He's been the OC over there for the last couple of years. Always been known as a really good play caller. Always been known for putting up points. As you just talked about, Arkansas scored over 30 points this year 4 times. They scored over 50 points twice this year. You put up 40 points on a Texas A&M defense, who was one of the best defenses in the SEC. You better be on high alert on Saturday, especially for that 11:45 kickoff. Taylor Green has improved as a player and as a passer, right? I think he's taking a bigger step than Lenore Sellers. I think he's taking a bigger step than Garrett Nussmeier. And when you talk about the dynamic of him being able to get out the pocket and make plays with his legs, LSU defense gonna have to be on point on Saturday. Having said all of that, their defense is horrible.
Yep.
So I do think that LSU can put up some points in this game. I think Michael Van Buren having some packages in this game going to put LSU in great position to be able to keep Arkansas defense all balanced. And I think they win this game in a close one, but I think it's kind of a shootout in a sense. I see LSU winning this game 31-27.
31.
31-27.
I'll give him 28-24 at 4.1. I'll go 30. I want to ask, though, somebody brought this up. I think it's an interesting point. So Michael Van Buren, let's say he plays Saturday, which obviously it looks like he will. That will be his 4th appearance. You know what happens after number 4, that red
No
shirt.
red shirt.
What do you think about this move? Is that smart? Is it one of those things where it's like, hey, the season sucks, let's just keep everybody redshirted? Or do you throw them out there, see what you get? So now you know if you got to portal someone, I know we will. But yeah, it's a little test for MVB for next year.
Yeah, I would like to think that Frank and that staff or Alex Atkins has had a behind the scenes closed door conversation with Michael Van Buren and his parents or whoever handles this process about, look, can we play you the rest of this year? And you not mind losing your red shirt? Obviously he must have signed off on it because I haven't heard anything about him not playing on Saturday. So and look, he's just a sophomore. He still got 2 years left after this year. So it's not like he's a junior and got one more year, right? So he loses his red shirt, he stays a junior and his senior year. So I think he'll be fine, man. I think it's important for Michael Van Buren to play in these last games because of the experience factor. Although he played a lot as a true freshman at Mississippi State last year, he didn't start the whole year. I think he probably played maybe 4 or 5 games or something like that, which was good. But I think playing the rest of this year will help him going into the next year. So I think him playing is going to help LSU down the road, in my opinion.
You don't get that many opportunities as a quarterback in the SEC. You kind of got to take everyone you get. Because even if you get an opportunity, sometimes it gets taken from you, and then they never look back, like a Tua and Jalen Hurts situation. And now you just lost your job. So if you got an opportunity to go out there, go out there.
And you know, and I know LSU fans probably don't want to hear this, but it's an audition team because whoever gets hired, maybe they don't have a future for Michael Van Buren at LSU. So now you got to get in the portal. Well, what you think team's gonna do? They're gonna go back and watch these last 3 games and see how you looked and how do you fit their scheme. And that could put you in a position to get you another spot at another university. So I think Michael Van Buren should be thinking about that too. And I know people don't want to hear that, but that's just the reality of this.
It's 100% the reality of it. I agree. Let's move into these real quick before we hop out. SEC Power Rankings, CFP Rankings. They just dropped the CFP, so now I had to get my SEC Power top 5. Top 4 didn't change, G. A&M, Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas. Come on. I'm going to give you a brief explanation for why A&M, it's obvious they're on fire. Marcel Reed, nice Heisman bet. Only game I would worry about for them end of the season versus the Longhorns could be a little emotional. Bama, I didn't want to put them at 2. I really wanted to put Georgia here, but I know that was a little emotional. They could have lost to LSU. Oh, well, they made it out alive. Georgia, I'll give you honorable mention. They could jump Bama because they play Texas this week. And then they play Georgia Tech at the end of the year. So that's a number 10, skip a week. Number 14, 2 great teams to finish off the year with. I might put them above Alabama if they do that. I can't lie. Ole Miss hanging in there at number 4. Obviously, they beat Oklahoma. They got some decent games left. Florida, which, never know what happens. But then Mississippi State, I think they can wax both of those, punch their ticket to the CFP, and look at the Longhorns coming back in the mix. Knocked off Oklahoma, knocked off Vandy. That's 2 of the French teams left. I would look like a clown putting Oklahoma and Vandy above the Longhorns with that being said. So, Arch, hat tip to you. Sark, hat tip. Y'all made it back. Y'all are fighting. Y'all are staying alive. You still got a decent game this weekend. But hey, that's my top 5 for it right now. G, how you feeling?
Go back and look at the previous episodes when Texas had lost them 2 games at the beginning of the season, and pay attention to what I said. I said Arch Manning will get better as the season go on, and he's a quarterback that you can't be looking for him to be a top pick in this year's draft. He's
Right.
somebody that's gonna have a decent year, get better as the year go on, and then next year will be the year for Arch Manning. And I'm happy to see him, overcome that adversity and kind of quiet some of these naysayers that saying, oh, he's a bust and he didn't play against anybody in high school, and they ordained him before he did anything. Look, he played Ohio State week 1, bro,
The champs on the road.
on the road, and they still had a chance to win at the end. But uh I like seeing stories like that, bro. So, but I like your top 5. I kind of slightly like Ole Miss better than Georgia,
Really?
right? Slightly,
Okay.
slightly, and it's
That's
only because
high take.
Trinidad. It's only because of Trinidad Chambers. I just think he got ice water in his veins. I think that he has that it factor. Although I think Gunnar Stockton is a good player and he's been playing well this year, uh, it's just something about Trinidad Chambers, especially when I watched him in that Oklahoma game on the road, bro. He put his cape on and he led that team on some crucial drives in that fourth quarter, and that showed me a lot about him. So,
Oh, he did.
but I'm gonna go with your top 5. I'm gonna roll with it. I'm gonna roll with it.
Let's react to the CFP real quick. Let's keep it all together. This is a CFP rankings that came out yesterday. Top 5 is exactly the same as it was last week. Makes sense. BYU slid to 12 after their loss to Tech. Shout out G. We predicted it. Let's go, man. Everyone else moved up 1 spot. Vandy, Miami, they got a little closer. They're on the fringe. I'm gonna give you 2 sleepers, and I'm not even really like. Are they really sleepers at this point? I think these 2 teams are punching them in. Look at number 24, Chavez Brown. What's up, big dog? South Florida. Come on. I think they're going to be a sleeper. They're at the top of the AAC. The only teams they got in their way, maybe a Tulane, maybe in Memphis. I ain't worried about it. They got Byron Brown. They're going to punch their ticket. I'm thinking Virginia, number 19, second in the ACC. They'll probably get an appearance into that conference title game. With that being said, I think they might be able to punch somebody in the mouth. My natty pick, got an interesting one. Georgia. I ain't gonna lie to you. I really like that Ole Miss game. They turned it up into a shootout, got some offensive firepower. And like I said, 2 key games. You got number 10, number 14. If you can beat Texas, slow Arch Manning down, put some defensive strongholds on them, and then at the end of the year, stop Haynes King and ruin their CFP. Oh, boy, I'm all over what's coming down the track. Kirby Smart made me proud, big dog.
Yeah, it's this thing is a long way from over. Long way
Man.
from over. I'm looking at this BYU, and I'm trying to figure out how they at 12 over BYU got 1 loss.
Yeah. And dude, last week they were like number 8. They were
But I'm
above
trying to
4
figure
games,
out
maybe.
how are they above Georgia Tech. I don't get that one.
I think it's because they're second in the Big 12. Let me go make sure.
Yeah, I think Georgia Tech getting a raw deal right there.
I can see it. I can see it.
Because you can't tell me BYU strength of schedule better than Georgia Tech
Yeah,
strength of schedule.
BYU 8-1, bro. And I'm sitting here looking. Nobody. Portland State, Stanford, East Carolina, Colorado, West Virginia, Arizona. They did beat Utah. That's their
Yeah, be
ranked
Utah,
win.
right? Yeah, but
But
Georgia Tech, I mean, come on, bro. I don't get that one.
yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, that's the only thing I look at and see as a question mark.
I like the South Florida pick too. All the way at 24, man. Come on. Climb your way up to 12. Climb up 12 spots, Chavez. Let's get it.
I think Tulane might have really hurt their chances dropping that game at UTSC on the road.
John
Might have
Summer,
really hurt the chances.
might be in Auburn, big dog. Hey, still the SEC though. Still the SEC. Got Antron in the chat asking about Whit Weeks. Do you think that he can make a return this week? All right, so they're having him practice. Frank did say after the presser on Saturday, the minute that Whit touched down the field, he said he was ready to go. But Frank was talking about that's adrenaline. Like, come on, man, you got to tell me that before the game. We can't touch down, and then you try to get me to get you on the field, bro. You ain't ready yet. You just trying to get the juices flowing, man. I don't know. I think he's in a very important part of this defense. Your defensive outlook changes entirely with Taylor Green coming in if Whit Weeks is there. I know you still have key pieces. You still got a nice DB stretch to be able to cover that back end of the defense so you can throw buku defenders out there in the box and try to blitz them and have some protection. However, if Whit Weeks is playing, I'm fully confident in LSU winning this game. If he's not, I could see the Tigers losing. It's almost a 50-50 flip. I think it's an important question. How are you feeling?
I think they'll be all right. You're still in Death Valley. You know, hopefully the fans come out for that early kickoff. But think about it, bro. You had a Bama team to 20 points. You had them to 3 points in the second half without Whit Weeks.
Bad rushing game.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine, bro. But I still think it'll be a sort of a shootout. That's why I got it LSU 31-27.
If Whit doesn't come back this week, do you think he's done the whole year?
I don't know. Western Kentucky, Oklahoma. You know, a lot of them been coming on saying nobody's quitting. You know, I was anticipating Mansour Delane and some of these guys coming on and saying they was opting out. That says a lot about what Frank has done since he's been the interim head coach, bro. Like they must have really had a serious conversation about finishing this season off the right way. So we'll see.
I agree. Yep. Somebody said, or our guy Alex said he'll be at the game. Fans are supporting Frank. Come on, man. Shout out Frank. You heard the battle cry. Everybody go out there. Tailgate early. Let's go. 11:45. You be there, G? I'll see you there, bro. All right. Y'all tune in on Friday. We got a top 3 picks of the week. I did get a sweep last week, but I'm trailing. I'm trailing by 1 game. I'm biting. I'm clawing. I'm trying so hard to catch up to you, G. I think this is the week. I think last week I was a little bit right. This week, hey, I might be able to double up. Back-to-back sweep. First time in program history. I'm chasing it. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hit that like button. We out here.